Just kidding. I totally know how to do this. Hi, my name's Tisha. I'm your reader today, and I am also modeling for you some beautiful earrings that were brought to me by Water is Life Kenya. They found me in the back. I needed earrings, and there they were. That's an endorsement. I am not a paid actor. The theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. The theme for September is Transcendent Purpose. Today's topic, Hope Never Disappoints. Germany Kent, in the Hope Handbook, offers this wisdom. Embrace who you are and your divine purpose. Identify the barriers in your life and develop discipline, courage, and the strength to permanently move beyond them and keep moving forward. Let us affirm together, hope and courage carry me forward in fulfilling my divine purpose. Thank you. So today I will welcome our guest and our speaker, Joyce Tannin. She's the co-founder of Water is Life Kenya and this is a charitable nonprofit earring providing donation supported by CSL Delaware. Thank you. Welcome.
My mic hot? There we go. Woo! All right. But you're welcome to stay. Everybody should come up. Thank you so much. So when we were picking our word of the day, and I was thinking about it should be hope because that's how we kind of kick this off. But you know what it is? Commitment. That's the thing that came to my mind. Commitment, because I think in the storms of every day, right, we kind of we can waver a little bit, and so it's like that commitment, because hope does not disappoint. God does not disappoint, but we need to be the instruments, right? And that takes some. It's sometimes you gotta right, and I think of my parents, because my parents in the co-founding story are my parents. My parents, they were committed to this work. My mom, who was an amazing person, she said, "I'm not a salesperson." And yet every day she had friends over at our house, she would put our beadwork on the table and she'd be like, "Oh, I think you would like to come this way." So she was always committed to our purpose because she had that vision of what income would bring to these women in Kenya, right? So this is just that she was entertaining. She was concerned that she had a nice spread, but they needed to see the beads. So anyway, and then of course my dad is another whole, my dad is other level, well, both of them, but anyway, they both passed away this past year. So their spirit is now unencumbered by physical limitations and is with us even stronger than it was before, although we miss them. Yes. Fact. I miss them. We miss them. My dad was in our office at least 3 times a week at 91, still helping us, right? So hope does not disappoint. So we have to be those ones, right, who show up. And that's that commitment. So we've been doing this with your help. You have been committed to us, and we are so grateful. So I think we can go forward in the slides. Thank you. So I think it's always good to have a sense of place, right? So we work in Kenya. So that red arrow points to where Kenya is on the map, and that yellow line is the equator. So that's important because it affects the weather in our area a lot. It's hot and it's dry in our area. So that's really important. And we work in southern Kenya, close to the Tanzanian border. We work in very famous wildlife areas. That's also really important to know. So we work at sort of that crossroads of human, wildlife, livestock, and of course God's creation is all down there. So go ahead. Have any of you traveled to Kenya? Okay. Only two, okay. Right, well, the invitation is always open. Right, that's what partnerships sometimes include, right? Coming all the way. I mean, we just had a big group, and you're going to see some photos of that from Wilmington, from St. Philip's Lutheran Church, who came. 23 of them came. So, look around and see who of you're ready to travel with and come on the dusty roads with us. Okay. And this is really what it is. I always want to put this photo there because this is the thing that I saw that really compelled me, to start our work. I remember talking to my parents and saying, "You're not going to believe." I was there helping girls go to school, and I thought that the main reason that girls didn't go to school was a lack of money at home, right? But really, one of the main issues is a lack of water in communities. So they're part of the water carrying squad. Sometimes it's the young girl just by herself. Sometimes it's the mom by herself and the young girl's taking care of the kids at home, right? And it's not optional. I mean, think about all the ways you already used water this morning, right? But for us, it comes out of taps in our house. We get to do all of the stuff that we need to do in the morning and move on with life, right? But for them, that's not possible. And that's why we showed up, and we really, with the support of so many generous people, especially from the state of Delaware, have done this work and changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of women and girls so that they could do something else besides carry water. Right? Think of all the unleashed potential where they can be unburdened and do that divine purpose, right? Because, do you think that God has something else for us besides carrying water? Right? So many things. Do music. Be creative. Do other work and solve the problems of their community. But when you're doing this, and your neck is being crunched, and the sun is beating down on you, and you don't even see the elephants coming up that you need to hide from because they're coming your way. Like sometimes I've heard girls say, I needed to drop the water and hide behind the bush so that I could be safe. So this is every day, because I think there's no day you don't need water, right? So especially in this area. So that's the thing that drove us. And my parents were like, yes. And my Kenyan co-founder, Larasha, said, yes. And then the ways opened. And the commitment was there. We started this back in 2007, right? So that's a lot of commitment. That's a lot of slogging. It's a lot of learning how to do things. And just saying, God, if you want this to be done, then I know you're going to help us find the way. And the people kept on coming in our pathways to make all this happen. So that's how it works, because when you have that it's the purpose that you're meant to do, then all the obstacles, they get removed. Not all of them, not all of them. But anyway, so we have been started out with clean water. These are our other kinds of projects that we do. So WASH is water, sanitation, and hygiene. We work in a livestock keeping community where 85, even to 90% of their livestock comes through livestock. We work with pastoralist tribes. They have herds of livestock. When the season is good and there's plenty of rain, they're doing well. When there is drought, it's a problem. So we created a program called Livestock as a Business, and that helps everything run. So the water supports the people in the livestock, and the income from the livestock supports families and also the water projects to be sustainable. So it is a circle. Then we start, you've heard us and talk us about Hope for Widows, and that's something that you all have been so supportive of. And that's a program that is a training program for business skills and life skills, and then also grants and goats, which everybody loves, and you all have been so generous. And then the beaded handicrafts, which is the original, one of the original ways that women are able to support themselves, and the income goes directly back to them. Husbands don't interfere with the money that they get from their beadwork. So that's the reason why we always, and they keep on coming up with new things. Like, you might notice, this is a new style of necklace, right? So, they keep on coming. So now that they have more time, and their creativity, gets sparked, and they can do things, they're like, and then now the colors have started developing, and it's, all this amazing jangly stuff at the bottom. Yes. So, and even I have one of these. If there is a person who needs to sport a very beautiful collar, I do have one for sale. Only one. But anyway, so Hope for Widows and the Community. I wanted to talk to you about this because you've been so important in supporting women. You supported 7 women with grants and goats last time. And I wanted to share that is what allows us to keep expanding the program. And so we started back in 2022. We've been through group 1, group 2, group 3, and now we're on group 4. And here they are. This is group 4 ladies on the opening day being trained. So they learn, first of all, they tell their stories. Like, what happened? What happened in their life? Their husbands, they died, they want to share about that, what their challenges that they've had since then, all that they've gone through, and you can always just feel it's a release. Because, the fact is, people don't always want to hear the story, and also they're told to, get on with it. Get on with it, this happens. That's, sometimes, so it's like, you could just feel it, and then they hear from each other, and now they've kind of they have some ground, so they know the common ground between them. So they don't all live super close to each other, so they might not have known each other's stories. And then we start training them in skills. We teach them how to, what does it look like? How do you know, what's a business? So they talk about their businesses that they've already been doing, if they've done any. How do you know whether you're making a profit? What kind of things work in your area? What have you seen other things that people have been doing to earn money? So we hear about all those things and we start teaching them. We also teach them about livestock keeping too, so that they can be better at that, because we're going to be giving them goats and we want them to be able to have those skills of taking care of their goats. Also, importance of saving money. That's a huge one, and that has totally changed their lives. So I know there's a lot of words here, but I didn't want to forget anything. There's so much transformation that has happened to the women themselves. And I want to also talk about the transformation in the community at large, because it's not just them. There is a ripple effect, right? So when they come, they say they have been marginalized, they feel isolated, of course sad, barely seen in the community, and definitely not heard. It's a very male-dominated community. And it's like when you lose your husband, everybody's making decisions for you. The men sit and they plan your life. And there's none of this, hello, I'm here. No. The women just sit there. And of course, there's the grief part. So it puts that extra layer of silence and confusion, impoverished. Of course, a lot of times people swoop in, like sometimes their in-laws come and take their properties. You think, come on, this is the last thing that she needs right now, somebody to come and take her stuff away from her. But that's what happens. And sometimes they're forced to beg, not only forced to beg, but even almost their bodies, you know what I mean? Men will be like, oh yeah, I'll bring you some sugar, right? And that's what happens. And they come with a little bit of food, and then they do other things there too. So, and that's just what it is, because they don't know what else to do. Right? So no one believes they're able to do anything, even themselves. Yeah. So we teach them, and then now they're shining. I mean, those ladies, they are transformed. And that's the thing, is the people around them, they're like, we didn't know they could do that. And this moved me so much. We had our graduation ceremony. We had goats, grants, goat babies, and and graduation for the people who were graduating. And I sat next to our teacher, she's a fairly recent widow of 3 years, and she told me, when we drove up, there are all these cars and tents and people getting ready to come to the ceremony. She said, this is a miracle, because people never come for widows. They don't even see them. The fact that all these people are here for widows, that's a miracle in and of itself. And then I heard it from, because we had time beforehand, I started talking to some of the girls, just to know what is life like for a widow in their village. They're not just marginalized, they're actually stigmatized. Stigmatized, yeah, stigmatized. And that means that, like, when something bad happens in the village, the widow gets blamed. When something's missing, when a cow dies suddenly, it's always blamed on her. It's like a very deep kind of superstition. So, like, those are the things that are now, those kinds of things are being discarded, because now they're seeing these women are strong. Well, and we go, if, no, we don't need to go back to the list, but one of the other things they say is, the women say afterwards, the transformation that happens is, I am now called upon for things. I'm a person, people know that I have something, I can bring something, I have something to offer. So before, they used to be excluded. People would be like, see you coming, and they would walk the other way because they thought maybe you were approaching them to beg for something. But now, because they have something and they're doing well for themselves, they get invited to things. I mean, it stinks to be isolated, right? And their kids too, and their own kids too have said, when I, used to be, they go to church and they wanted to put something in the offertory basket, but they had nothing. Now their mom is able to give them to the kids something to put in there, right? They're proud of that. So those are all the things that happen, the transformation that is unleashed in all these women after being trained, getting two rounds of grants and goats. It's massive. So these are the ladies. This is the ladies from Group 3 getting their second grant. So when they're in good standing, they get another round of $150, and that ensures that their business has properly lifted off. You know what I mean? So because there's a kind of a sometimes it takes a little while to get that momentum, but this is now they've reached that place where they're generating, they're saving, they're able to now start thinking about what else they can do at their homes. Like buy a chair, have a nice pan, or like a place to put their dishes. Those are the things that they're always so proud of. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so now this is also really important. One of the things that so the goats and grants are super important, but one of the things that's not included in that amount, and that's why we really budget $1,200 per widow, and that includes the training that we give them and the ongoing monitoring that happens after they get the grant. They go shopping. We monitor their businesses. We go to visit them twice a week. And these young ladies are the field assistants. They're all high school graduates, and they all go visit them. So they pop in. How's the business? What's new? They get the news. They look at the books. They look at the records. How's it going? What's selling well? What's maybe not selling well? Sometimes people, maybe, it's business. It's the nitty gritty of the business now, and also that community, of really knowing how people are doing in that check-in time. That's really important. Another really important thing that the women say is, "I have friends." Right? They're no longer isolated. They have each other. And the field assistants that visit them, they're also, they're part of that friend squad. So this is, I put her up there because I always have I wanted to challenge myself to pronounce her name correctly. Nole Muimu, that's her name. And she is one of the stars of the Group 2 widows, and so the Group 2 widows graduated. And when they come to those ceremonies, they, as a group, like Group 2, they all wore green. Group 3 all wore blue. Group 4 all wear the red and white. So they know who each other. They sit in sections, they get up in sections, and it's just so beautiful and festive. Right, so there she is. She's probably, I don't know, I think she might be like 27 or 28. So the average age of widows that we have is 33. We have some 20-year-olds, and we have some like in the 40, 48, 49 range. After they're in the 48, 49, a lot of them already have grown kids, and some of them are already doing, maybe the grown kids are doing something that can take care of their moms. So we always listen if there's some special cases. Sometimes we get people who say she doesn't have any kids able to take care of her. We might take a woman who's slightly older than that. But we want to make sure we're getting the ladies who have young and dependent children, because the average number of kids that these ladies have is about 6. Some of them have 10. So it's a lot of kids, right? A lot of mouths to feed. And of course, one of the other things that they say is, now I can feed my kids and dress and clothe them, and they haven't been sent home for school fees. Those are the things that all parents want, right? They're in school. They're doing okay. You can feed them. Those are so basic things, right? We all been there. We want to make sure that our kids are okay. So these are the kinds of, it's not so super clear, but the houses that they have, a lot of them are made out of cow dung. So those are the houses, you can see those sort of cracked, kind of mud-looking surfaces, but it's actually dung, and the women are responsible for making them. And these are these are the businesses that they start. So they're showing off their wares. The lady in the middle, she sells the fabrics, and people will buy them and make outfits out of them, or maybe bead them. The lady on the right, she's selling the thing in the bottles is kerosene that they use for their lamps in their homes, or even stoves, other kinds of food, maybe cooking oil, maybe bags of flour, rice, beans, all those other things. So I just wanted you to get a sense of the types of businesses that they're starting. So often they sell out of their homes, so it's very low overhead. They both go and buy the stock, and they go around telling people, this is one of the things we teach. One of the 6 P's of marketing is promotion, right? So they go around and say, I have these things. My things are the best. Come and buy my things, right? Or they set them out. Maybe they have a weekly market day where they put out their tarp and they put their things there. So those are the kinds of things. And so these are the newly granted and goated Group 4 widows. So here they are after receiving, this is the end of the day. The sun is shining on their faces. The sun is going down. It's a long day, an exciting day for everybody. Right? They got their cash. They got their little savings boxes so they can start saving money. And they each got 3 goats. So a male and 2 females. So now they're all like, they're thinking about home. They're thinking about like getting their goats home. They're thinking about the excitement of starting their businesses. So this is the end of the day. This is the launch. We're launched into our new lives photo. So this is the photo. Yeah, right. So our organization is called Water is Life, and it's called that for a reason because it's the source of everything, and water is hope. And the partnerships that we have with people bring both of those things, right? When you guys support us, means that we can deliver that hope. You know what I mean? So that those ladies, and the thing is that at those ceremonies, of all the opening ceremonies, so the launching of the widows or the opening ceremonies for boreholes, there's always more people. Right? There's always more people who are there who are like, can you come to us next? We heard about this program. I'm a widow. I didn't get it last time. We need water. We heard you do water. All these things. So at the ceremony, we're everybody's looking for us. You know what I mean? And then we're able to say yes. Why? Because we know you guys are loving and you're generous and God makes this stuff happen, and we just say yes. And it works. And this is why we're on Group 4, and then we're going to have Group 5 of widows. We're going to have Group 6, and the thing is, and guess what else? There's more. I'm going to tell you more. We have something really exciting to share with you today. But first of all, I'm going to show you just a few photos of this amazing time that we had with St. Philip's. I think you guys might know that church up on Limestone Road, St. Philip's Lutheran Church. So they funded a whole borehole for $80,000. And they just came over, it was from the 20th to the 25th of July. They were with us, 23 people came for 5 days with us. So they funded a borehole, where we built troughs and a whole water point. And these are the boys from the church who got a chance to see that in action. So here are the cows drinking at the water trough that they funded. Go ahead. And here's the ladies, they got a chance to carry wood. So they had a home visit day, so they got to do all the chores that women usually do. So carrying water, carrying wood, starting a fire to cook your everyday meals. That's it, right? That's really what it is. So they got the nitty-gritty of the full day of life there. And then this is inside the community water house, where you can see the water splashing out. The boys got in there, and they turned all the taps on at once, and all the water was splashing, and they were extremely excited. Anyway, so that's, and when you never get that, you know how good it feels to get under the shower, right? That So this is the first time that they had ever experienced that. And then they also got to try doing some of the beadwork. And of course, they are very tiny. You're like, those tiny seed beads, like on this cuff. So they actually got to make some bracelets. Go ahead. And this is the 33,000-gallon water tank. So we dug a borehole. We installed the solar-powered pump. There's solar panels. There's a powerhouse. There's this tank. So all of that together is 80,000. And so, sometimes when I'm giving talks, I'm like, yes, if you guys want to come and do a St. Philip's Well or a Center for Spiritual Living well, think about it. And sometimes I walk away and nobody says it to me that they want to do it. But then sometimes people will say, sign us up. I want to do it. We want to do it. So it's something I'm planting that seed. You know what I mean? Whatever you guys are called to do, you guys, sometimes it's the next level. Sometimes it's like, we love the widows. We want to support the widows more in depth. So all of those things, that's really just, again, that's like, the heart of your community. But I'm telling you, the communities are lined up. The more we do, the more requests we get, because we deliver. We don't say yes to everything at once. We say yes, we do, we finish. Yes, we do, we finish. Right? That's how we work. So that's why this year has been another crazy, amazing year for partnerships. So. Yeah, probably. So that particular well serves a primary school of 1,000 kids, a high school of nearly 200 kids, and families. I think it's about another 3,000 or 3,500 people, and all their livestock, and elephants as they pass through, and any other wildlife as they pass through, because there's a lot of wildlife in that area. And as you're at the trough, you're like, okay, that's an elephant footprint. You know what I mean? So they pass through in the night. And even in the school compound at night, I know the principal was telling me that the elephant was grazing out of her window in the nighttime. You could hear they have very loud digestion, and you could hear the digestion of elephants. Yes. So that's not it, because the success of the Hope for Widows program really spurred our latest program. And that program came about because we noticed something among the youth in our area. And it actually came through data that we got from the widows. They were making sure that their kids are in school, but then they got frustrated because the kids are coming home and there's no jobs for them. So they're getting into some trouble. Maybe one kid has a job and he buys everybody else booze, and they get drunk and people get upset. And of course I told my dad about this, and my dad was like, "We have to help the youth. This is him pounding on the table." And we did. So for the last year of my dad's life, we were talking about that and figuring out how to do it. And we got started. We did a special fundraiser for our youth and entrepreneurship program. And we kind of came up with the bones of it, basing it on the success of the Hope for Widows program. So it's training, definitely life skills, definitely business skills, and definitely a grant, because they're kind of starting from nothing. They don't have any way to get capital. So we actually just found our first clusters. We have 3 clusters of 30, 30, 30. And we're working right now just with the guys, and then we're going to have a separate program for the women, because it just in the culture, people, like, if you can't get men at that age to open up about what's going on in their life, they're just not comfortable doing it with women around. So we said, okay, that's okay, it will work, one thing at a time. So they really wouldn't, we kind of needed to get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on with them to know how to design the program. So that's where we are right now. So youth and entrepreneurship program is a go. Yeah. So that's my dad. I'm telling you, my dad. Anyway, my dad really, he had a brain cancer, so he couldn't really think that clearly at the end of his life, but he kept on coming back. to the youth. How's it going? He wanted it to happen. He wanted to see it. You know, he's seeing it. So that's it's amazing. So that's the generosity of so many people who made, we had a target of 40,000 to launch it. We actually raised 50, what are we at, around 52,000? Yeah, so that's how well it was, in honor of my dad, but also just because it's it's that thing of like, what you want to do, and then you don't want to give up, and you came out of school with an idea of something, and then you don't have capital. And then you start getting distracted by nonsense, and life happens, right? And the next thing you know, you're just like, you're going down the wrong path. And so this is the thing, like, these guys are excited. You could feel it, like, they're like, this is really going to happen? We're gonna have something. And so this program is going to be training and service. So community service, and that is a prerequisite for getting the grant. And then they're getting the grant. So all of those things are there, and it's mandatory attendance of training, because we know, like, it's just like, again, it's commitment. Commit yourself. You're going to do this. We're committing ourselves to you. Do it. So that's it. So that's where we are. That's all the hope, that we can realize with all of our commitment. This is becoming a reality. So thank you so much for all of your generosity, and just think about that partnership. How does that look for us, right? What is our relationship like? What do we want to do together? So I'm very excited to hear what you guys, what you're thinking about as a community, to help more of these ladies, men, boys, water come out of the ground, all these things. So thank you so much. And of course, questions? Yes. Yes.
No, they're providing money and goats. What are the goats for?
Oh, the goats, that's a great question, right? So goats are like, it's like a bank account. We call it the cow account or the goat account. So the good thing about goats is they give birth. So if you're taking care of your livestock well, they give birth. So that's the interest, right? So you have your cows or your livestock, and your goats keep on generating more. But you use the one that you can sell, and you pay for, like, you get cash for it somewhere. So you might also get milk from your cows and your goats and all those things. But the big thing is it's generating. And that's how people, when they take their kids to school, they go to the livestock market first, and they get that cash, and that's how they pay their school fees. So everything goes back to livestock in the community. And they really do. It's a good rate of interest if you think about it, right? So, like, you have anyway, yeah. That is a very good question. So that is data that we're starting to collect it more, because I get that question a lot. It's very different ways. Not all one thing, but definitely accidents. Like, they're young. Not necessarily. The men are not necessarily young. Yeah. So often, people are in this community are polygamous. So they often have, like, the husband might have 2 or 3 wives. So they might have Yeah, so they might have a very young wife and a sort of a middle wife and an older, slightly older wife. But the men, but sometimes they are young, and they're dying from all kinds of life accidents. Buffaloes, there's dangerous wildlife in the area, motorcycle accidents, kinds of diseases that you think people shouldn't die from, like tetanus, other kinds of things. HIV, of course, is there too. Like one of the ladies, I'm thinking about this because, like, my friend Grace, who I met when I got this one, she's HIV positive, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh my goodness, So, and that's how her husband died. It was HIV. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but those are some of the things, and also drought. When drought happens, it stresses the men intensely, and a lot of times they get other like the things compound. The die of, it's very stressful when your livestock die. So, yes. Yeah. We do get support, especially in word support from the local member of parliament.